The evening had all the makings of a celebration. Laughter drifted through the rooms, glasses clinked gently, and candlelight danced across the walls of our home. It felt like a perfect night, at least on the surface. Lena, my wife then, though no longer, was glowing. She had just landed a career-defining promotion at her law firm, one she'd been working toward for years. Her voice sparkled with pride as she told her colleagues about it, and the way she carried herself that night was magnetic. She'd chosen a scarlet dress, elegant, not flashy, that made her look like she belonged in a world far more glamorous than ours. She organized a dinner to mark the moment, inviting close friends, co-workers, and her boss. I spent the day making sure everything looked just right, cleaned every inch of the house, chose the best wine, even dusted off a blazer I hadn't worn in years. She noticed, smiled at me from across the room, eyes warm. "You think it's too much?" she asked, spinning lightly. "Not even close," I told her. She laughed and turned to greet her guests. For a while it was perfect, the kind of night you hope to remember. Then her boss, Ethan, stood up with a wine glass raised. I assumed he was about to deliver the standard congratulatory toast, but the expression on his face made my stomach twist. There was something smug behind his smile, something that didn't belong in our home. "Dylan," he said, nodding toward me, "you must know how Lena earned that promotion, right?" A few awkward chuckles scattered through the room, everyone hoping he was just trying to be funny. But he wasn't done. "That red dress she wore last week stopped every man in the office cold. I nearly doubled her salary just for showing up like." The night began with a kind of warmth that felt rare. Laughter drifting down the hallway, glasses clinking in rhythm, candlelight dancing gently against the walls of a house that had always known quiet more than chaos. It was supposed to be a celebration. Our home was alive, filled with voices and music and the electric energy of people gathered for a reason. Her name was Lena. My wife then, not anymore, and she was glowing in a way I hadn't seen in years. She had just received a promotion, a long-awaited offer for a partner track at the firm she devoted herself to for most of her adult life. It meant something big. I knew it. She knew it. And she wanted the world to know it too. So, she planned this dinner, invited coworkers, friends, and her boss. I spent the day making everything just right for her. Cleaned the entire place, opened the good wine, wore a blazer I hadn't touched in nearly a decade. I was proud of her. And more than that, I loved seeing her proud of herself. When she walked into the room that night in a deep red dress, every conversation paused. It wasn't revealing or loud. It was elegant, quietly powerful. She carried herself like she'd already arrived. I smiled at her from across the room. She caught my gaze, smiled back, and asked if she'd gone overboard. I shook my head and whispered, "Not even close." She laughed and floated into the center of the celebration, glowing from the inside out. For a while, it felt like the kind of evening we'd remember for the rest of our lives. People toasted to her, shared stories, filled the air with joy. I stood back, watching her own the room. But it didn't last. Ethan, her boss, stood with a wine glass in hand, wearing the smirk of a man who'd already had too much to drink and too little to fear. The room quieted, expecting a speech, maybe a light-hearted joke. Instead, he raised his glass toward me. "You must know how Lena really got that promotion, right?" he said. Uneasy chuckles rippled, the kind of laughter people offer when they're hoping it's just poor humor and not something worse. But then Ethan went on, louder this time. "That red dress she wore last week nearly brought the office to a halt. I almost doubled her salary on the spot." He laughed, alone. The rest of the room fell into a hush, people avoiding eye contact, shifting uncomfortably. "You're a lucky man," he added, locking eyes with me. "She's loyal. But I'll admit, for just one night, I thought about breaking a few rules." Something in me turned to ice. Lena froze too, her face losing its glow. She opened her mouth, then closed it again. No one moved. No one defended her. No one defended us. My hand tightened around my wine glass. My heart beat in my ears. And before I realized what I was doing, I crossed the room in 3 strides and brought the glass down against the side of Ethan's head. It shattered on impact, a sharp, clean crack that silenced the night. He stumbled back, blood trickling from his temple. No one rushed to help him. No one tried to stop me. I pointed toward the door. Get out. He didn't argue. He just lowered his gaze and left. The others followed, some mumbling apologies, most silent. Embarrassed. Ashamed. Lena stood frozen, trembling, trying to find the words. I didn't wait for them. You're not going back there, I said calmly but firmly. And I mean that. She looked stunned, like I'd just struck her too. It wasn't my fault, she said quietly. I didn't ask him to say that. I know. But if you walk back into that office after tonight, we're done. The next morning, I found her ironing a blouse like it was.